Have you ever thought about the possibility of finding undiscovered economic treasure in Southeast Asia? Imagine a country that followed the footsteps of the renowned Asian tigers, Hong Kong, Singapore, South Korea, and Taiwan, to achieve economic success and political stability. Let's shift our focus to Indonesia, which has quickly become a shining example of the region's freshly industrialized economy. In today's videos, we'll talk about Indonesia's economic history, its current situation, and what the future holds for its economy. We'll also find out the challenges Indonesia is facing as it tries to become a developed country. Imagine a country that's stuffed with priceless resources. However, despite its size, wealth of resources, and strategic location, its impact on the international economy has been relatively minor. Think about this. When it comes to shipping goods throughout the globe, Indonesia is in a league of its own. It's a major player in the global crude oil and natural gas export markets. Additionally, it is a significant producer of coffee, cocoa, palm oil, and rubber. All across the world, these are the most desired collectibles. You won't believe it, but sugar, tea, cigarettes, and exotic spices like cloves are also on the list. Large, often sprawling farms and plantations are the source of nearly all this. Finding materials is fascinating, isn't it? They really took on some huge projects after discovering oil and minerals. And guess what? The wealth they gained from it was actually put to good use in developing the country even more. Indonesia has always been great at staying connected with the rest of the world. They're famous for importing interesting items like high-tech gadgets and bringing in experts from all over. Indeed, the economy of the country changed and developed as time went on. So in this new setup, it's all about manufacturing, trade, and services being the main focus, while agriculture and industry play more of a supporting role. The history of Indonesia is pretty much shaped by the growth of manufacturing, commerce, and services. Before moving on to what happened in the journey of economics, keep watching the video till the end, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more videos like these from us. Now let's go back in time. When Indonesia first set out on its independence journey, things got a little shaky because of some economic mismanagement. Seems like there was a lot of attention given to both politics and development. But then things took a different direction. In the mid-1960s, a new captain named Suharto took charge of the ship and focused on steering towards stability. It feels like the whole country took a moment to pause and then started moving forward in a more organized direction. Fast forward to plans. From 1969 to 1998, Indonesia embraced a series of 5-year plans. Imagine it as a blueprint for building the country. The government teamed up with foreign aid to grow areas like agriculture, transportation, and communication. They even founded a state-owned oil company named Pertamina. It was like a collective effort to push Indonesia forward. As time went by, the economic stage changed. It's really interesting how private businesses really took off in the mid-1990s. It was like a beautiful garden after a refreshing rain, with all these businesses just blooming and thriving. Before that, growth was kind of limited to a few big players. Small businesses, they really took their time to flourish. And the stock market had its roller coaster too. In the early 1980s, it zoomed up with excitement after some rules changed. It's like the market was a playground, and everybody wanted to play. However, not everyone got a turn, only a tiny group of players. In the 1990s, there was this huge wave of foreign investments, almost like a massive party. But then it was like a balloon popping, because it shrank after a regional financial crisis in 1997. It's quite impressive how the government stepped in and, like a superhero, came up with a 4-year plan to revive the economy's strength. By 2003, the nation had gained enough stability to take off some of its economic training wheels and end a project that the International Monetary Fund had been funding. A new plan formed, a bit like a game strategy, opening some doors while keeping others more protected. The goal? To make Indonesia fully self-reliant in the 21st century. Look at Indonesia now. It's a busy place with a big economy ranked 10th by money power. They've also reduced poverty by over half since 1999, which is commendable. Before the 2019 COVID-19 pandemic, 10% of individuals were poor. Indonesia is leading the G20 this year, which aims to unite nations to recover from the pandemic. Let's talk about Indonesia's plans. They're a significant roadmap for their country's development. Think of it as planning for 2005 through 2025. However, they divide it up into 5-year RPJMN segments. Sounds fancy, right? Each chunk prioritizes different things. The current one is the final element. They're making their people smarter and their country in the world market better. You know what? The economy shook things up like a hurricane. Due to the pandemic, Indonesia's finances are worse than before. It also regressed in poverty reduction. The numbers went from poor to high, but they're still attempting to improve. Right now, their economy is growing, but a bit slower, like a car going at 4.7% speed in 2023. But don't worry, things will pick up a bit in 2024 and the speed will be around 5.1%. To deal with the pandemic, they're selling more to other countries and being frugal. However, they know the epidemic could complicate things. Let's look into Indonesia's economic situation. It seems like people are starting to spend more money, which is a good sign for consumption. Also, it turns out, prices of the things Indonesia sells to other countries, like valuable resources, are higher than they expected. Not only has this boosted their exports, but it has also brought in extra money for the government. But even with all these good things, there are still some big challenges that we need to face. The Indonesian government has some major economic hurdles to tackle. To begin with, let's talk about inflation. Inflation is a situation in which the cost of necessities rapidly increases. As a result, people may find it more challenging to make ends meet. The government of Indonesia is working hard to slow the rate of inflation, but this is proving to be a difficult task. The creation of employment presents the next obstacle. There are a lot of people in Indonesia and they'd all like to work. The government is trying to attract job-creating investments, but this takes time because planting seeds is an analogy for what happens. Nothing grows quickly. Finally, there is a concept known as economic growth. Consider it a plant that must mature before it can provide us with any harvest. People get more money and jobs when the economy grows. Indonesia is committed to economic growth, but it will be challenging given the global economic climate. Let's talk about a big issue in Indonesia: corruption. This means some people in the government are not being honest and might do things that aren't fair. This is causing problems for the country's growth. It's not just limited to local governments and the police, but even some parts of the government that are not connected to the president. It's like a puzzle with many pieces affecting how things work and how the country can grow. This unfair play hinders business and overall growth. In 2019, there was this law that came up for debate, and some people were saying it could actually make anti-corruption efforts less effective. This caused quite a stir, and people started protesting against it. Possibilities in Indonesia's economic sector. Indonesia is like a big box of opportunities for businesses. It's got more people, its economy is getting stronger, and it's the biggest market in Southeast Asia. This is like a golden ticket for businesses, especially ones coming in from other places, and here's why. Trade treaties. 9 other Southeast Asian countries have signed trade agreements with Indonesia. Businesses can now exchange goods without incurring any additional tax liability because of this innovative handshake, like unlocking access to a whole new set of consumers and businesses. Economic booming. The Indonesian economy is thriving and rapidly expanding. After China, India, Brazil, and Russia, Indonesia is the 5th country in the world to have an emerging economy. This suggests a rise in demand for all commodities and services. It's a stepping stone for companies to flourish. People power. Indonesia is home to a sizable and expanding population. More people means more people to hire, which is great news for companies on the lookout for competent workers. Rising class. The Indonesian middle class is on the rise. These folks have higher standards and are always on the lookout for something better. Companies now have permission to provide what these customers need. What kinds of businesses are worth investing in Indonesia? Like any exciting journey, doing business in Indonesia is full of both exciting opportunities and challenging obstacles. Having an understanding of opposing arguments allows for more strategic planning. Finding trustworthy allies is a must for a successful outcome. There are many different industries that offer opportunities for investors, but some of the most promising include manufacturing. Indonesia has a really big and growing population. So that means there's a huge market for all kinds of manufactured goods. By the way, the government also offers support for investors in this sector. They provide things like tax breaks and subsidies to help them out. It is known for producing a wide range of popular goods. They make textiles, apparel, footwear, electronics, and furniture, among other things. Infrastructure. The Indonesian government is really putting a lot of effort into improving their infrastructure. They're investing a ton of money into building new roads, bridges, and airports. It's all part of their plan to make transportation more efficient and convenient for everyone. So there are some great opportunities for businesses that can offer these services. Think about construction companies, engineering firms, and consulting firms, for example. They could really benefit from this situation. Tourism. Indonesia is such an amazing place to visit. It's got breathtaking natural beauty and a vibrant culture that's just so captivating. This industry is going to keep growing in the coming years, which means there will be more opportunities for businesses that cater to tourists, like hotels, restaurants, and tour operators. E-commerce. Indeed, e-commerce is really taking off in Indonesia. It's amazing to see how many people are now using the internet to shop. This is a fantastic chance for businesses that can sell their products online, like e-commerce platforms, logistics companies, and payment processors. So that's the story of Indonesia's economic landscape, with all its potential and challenges. Indonesia's business scene is truly exciting. It's filled with manufacturing wonders, building the future with improved infrastructure, catering to tourists' dreams, and diving into the e-commerce frenzy. It's like a treasure chest just waiting to be explored. Thanks for watching. Stay tuned for more interesting upcoming videos.